whips up your medal. Now, we have here Dave Tice and we have Mark Evans. Now, if I got the billing order wrong, I'll do it again.
That's all right.
We have Mark Evans and Dave Tice.
Otherwise, I must admit, interrupting you briefly, because there's a town just in northern New South Wales where we're actually known as Evans and Tate.
Evans and
Tate.
Evans and Tate. Okay.
Yes, we turned up at this place and there was it.
Oh, Dave, you were actually billed in that way.
Evans and Tate.
Okay, now we'll start with you, Dave, because you're the more senior of the pair. Does that offend you? I know. I could see the
People out there laughing.
The crease cross his brow when I said that. Okay, Brisbane.
Yes.
The 60s in an environment that included the Purple Hearts, the Bay City Union.
Yes.
I mean,
Thursday's Children.
Thursday's Children, of course. Yeah. This was before you arrived, fully fleshed and formed and ferocious in Buffalo.
Yes.
So just tell us a little bit about that time. And you just sit here quietly.
Yeah, you
Mark.
shut up, Mark.
I told you I'm not talking.
Don't be talking until you get a
Oh,
medal.
we'll entice you. Now, Dave.
Well, it was kind of interesting because, you know, my family, we're migrants, and we came out to Australia as 10-pound tourists in 1964, ended up on a place called Wakehold Migrant Hostel up in Queensland there, just outside of Brisbane, where my musical interest really started because I met guys there from England and other parts of the world that were into music that I hadn't really been aware of up to that point. And so, of course, the first thing we did was talk our parents into buying us guitars and decide that we were going to take over the world, which I'm still waiting to do, by the way. And
well, you've made a pretty good fist of it from time to time.
I've done my best.
You've done your best. But anyway, yes, okay, so you're... Now, one thing that always intrigued me about Brisbane, and I had a conversation with Chris Bailey about this, the Saints Chris Bailey, saying one of the reasons why the Saints were so confrontational is because that was a very Brisbane thing, a very conservative town, like a rural seat. In order to make a mark, you had to be contrary, you had to be a bit ferocious, and Lobby Lloyd in the Purple Hearts has got to be the perfect example of that. But was there that feeling in Brisbane that you know?
Well, yes. I mean, I recall, you know, I was in a place called Darra, one of the suburbs there, one day, and I made the mistake of getting around in my mod outfit, which comprised of a red tartan pair of pants, a sky blue silk shirt, and a red tartan jacket. Which immediately got me into trouble with the local with the local rockers. You know, the rockers and the widgies, they all wanted to bash the shit out of me for walking around with this stuff. So it was pretty confrontational. I've been chased from Ipswich to Brisbane by a carload of hoons after doing a gig. The fight on Saturday night was not at all unusual. So.
But you must realise that threat of danger to person shaped much great Australian rock. And Mark would probably be familiar with this. The beloved Easy Beats came together and got very tight because they were in the Villawood Migrant Hostel, and all the guys in the town or the suburb were outside wanting to beat 3 shades of shit out of them. I mean, so you come together almost to huddle together for warmth.
Well, yes, it starts as a gang, really. You know, you hang around with your friends for safety. I mean, you know, we used to be confronted by this all the time because I did about a year of schooling in Brisbane before I got my first job and went out into music. But, you know, it was always the same. There'd be one mob of kids who were from the migrant hostel, and they'd hang together, and all the local lads would wait for an opportunity for a stray to come wandering by to give them a damn good hiding. And if you didn't stick together, you're in trouble.
Okay, now this is a question that really goes to both of you at this time. I mean, what were you listening to, I mean, internationally, I suppose, but what was it that was actually getting your juices flowing when you first became musicians? You know, who did you want to be?
You got the medal yet?
No, but trust me, it's being minted as we talk.
Okay, I'll take on your word. A lot of blues stuff. You know, the lights really went on for me when I was just listening in the car on the way out. Things like Howlin' Wolf and all that. And I got influenced very much by the Stones, who were at the forefront of getting that blues stuff going in, you know, in England. So and a lot of British bands, you really, you know, Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, sort of got into heavy stuff. But the blues thing come in, you know, second hand, probably via the Rolling Stones, and I guess.
Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds, you know, bands like that, them, the Animals.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
The original, not the Stevie Nicks one. They were very good.
Yeah, that was all. I mean, I just before my family migrated to this country, I visited a friend's place, and because we didn't have TV, in fact, we didn't have electricity in England at this point, but they lived,
What? The war had knocked it out. Yeah.
they just hadn't delivered
Those
it,
bombs,
they,
yeah.
they hadn't
Destroy
run the lights.
all other generators. Yeah, okay.
Don't mention the war. I mentioned it once.
But you got away with it, yes.
So I went to visit my friend, and they had electricity and a TV, and I happened to catch a show. I think it was Ready Steady Go, or one of those sort of shows, and one of the bands that were on with the Rolling Stones. And I hadn't really taken much notice of music until I saw these guys, and I thought, this looks like the real stuff to me.
Well, I mean, when the Rolling Stones first went to America, I mean, Brian Jones was out the front in every interview saying, we're a blues band.
Yes.
Everybody, we're a blues
Yeah,
band.
and I guess I've seen, I think I saw one of those TV shows, and Brian Jones wasn't even playing guitar. He was out the front to do a Bo Diddley thing with maracas.
Maracas.
It was almost like having two frontmen.
He was playing the part of the Duchess, his gorgeous sister.
Now, were you always the suave, spelt front man? Were you always the? I mean, you didn't sort of start up the back on drums or anything like that. And move your way forward.
No. I started out to be a guitar player, but I discovered very early that actually the girls were more interested in the singer. So I thought, look at this, I don't need a guitar.
And so, why did you pick up the bass?
Like most bass players, I started playing guitar, and you know, I was the least. I picked up the bronze medal for guitar playing with my three mates. So the guy on the bottom of the totem pole had to buy a bass, and that was me. So that's how it started off, really. And you know, if you ask me now, hold a gun to my head, I'm a bass player. But you know, because with Dave, I play a lot of guitar and I enjoy it. But yeah, played bass and still love to. I play bass occasionally now, not as often as I would like. I don't play golf as often as I like either. Although I'm playing in a golf tournament soon.
Do we really need to know this?
I think you do, because I'm shitting myself.
He thinks so.
I'm shitting myself. I've got a chance to get beaten by a one-armed golfer. I'm playing in the Jack Newton tournament, and I'm petrified. Can you play golf?
He's only got one arm, but he's only got one eye as well.
Oh no, he's going to flog me.
I had to contend yesterday with Sam Cutler talking about talking about lose for 500,000 people. Now I'm on to golf. Am I losing my interviewing skills? Now,
Sam Cutler, by the way, if you've got to get your yah-yahs on it, everything seems to be ready. So he's that guy, isn't he? Does interview for the Rolling Stones. Yeah,
he won. Now, there were a couple of other squat little Scotchmen, that Scottish fellows that
they're all little.
Yeah, they're all little, but they cared a lot about the Rolling Stones. And blues
absolutely,
and
yeah.
Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and all those.
Mainly I'd say Rolling Stones and bands like Free, etc. You know, Free was very influential in a lot of bands in the early '70s. But you mean Angus and Malcolm and Bon? Yeah, they were, you know, very much into the Stones. And when I first started working with the guys, there was a lot of Stones covers in the set. There was Honky Tonk Woman, Street Fighting Man, Brown Sugar. In fact, when we went in to record TNT, you know, we'd be playing along and getting a groove together, and you know, it wouldn't be unusual for one of the guys to say, "Oh, this will be our Brown Sugar," or "This will be our Street Fighting Man," you know. And I know Livewire, that song off TNT, you know, that was there. Oh, this is going to be our Street Fighting Man, you know. So it was pretty much used as a blueprint. In fact, I think AC/DC probably the only band in the world that's shorter than the Rolling Stones. They're all very tiny people. Yeah.
All very tiny. I can remember when Dragon first came over to Australia.
Biggest band in the world.
And I was out at a rock festival, and I was there with Old 55, who I imagined, and we had become accustomed to you guys, to AC/DC, everyone being tiny, and all of a sudden this caravan door opens, and these behemoths, these towering giants, the product of free dairy products. All
no, they were from Easter Island.
Yeah, that was. And they strolled out. But yeah, look, you were tiny, but it was easy to, I suppose, to misunderstand or to underappreciate AC/DC, because you guys were ferociously determined. That's been the AC/DC story forever.
I think
the band
still
never
is,
ever changes its attitude. It bunkers down. nose down, tail up, and goes for it.
Yeah.
And that was it from day one, wasn't it?
But pretty much. I think, you know, whatever your personality was when you joined the band, and I joined the band as probably the last bit of what people considered like the original lineup. It certainly wasn't, but as you know.
There were lots of
half dozen bass players before me.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, once you joined that band, you really sort of you just took on the company line, which was really just shut up and do your job, and let Bond do the talking, the Rangers, you know. And that's you know, the end. Not by no means the ends for the band now, but it justifies its means. You know, I think, you know, with their way of being insular and a little bit closed off, I think in the long run it may have, you know, been to their detriment at some stages. But at the end of the day, you know, like I said, the end justifies the means. They've run their own race and they're never going to change. And God bless them for that. Good on
Well,
them.
200 million album sales later, it must be. I know, and you're only receiving royalties on a small number, I know.
Small's a relative term. It depends on how big the pie is.
They were a tough nugget of a band. Were you backstage at Sunbury?
No,
when the great brawl happened.
No, that was pre. That was you know, a couple of months before me.
Okay.
I think Phil had joined them, and George Young was playing bass at that stage.
Yeah.
And yeah, Deep Purple weren't going to let them go on after them, and they didn't want anyone to go on. So they started. It was probably the first time I actually heard of AC/DC, because they punched some of their Deep Purple road crew out, which is pretty. They must have been standing on something at the time.
We'll get back for more AC/DC stories.